If you're in the market for a pistol that's going to cost you less than 500 bucks, less than 400 bucks, possibly even less than 300 bucks, but still be a nice, reliable, accurate firearm, then this video today is for you. Today we are comparing the Ruger Security 9 and the Taurus G2C. Both of these pistols come in at a very affordable price point, but they've both been extremely reliable for me. And accurate. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. If you couldn't tell from the intro, today we are comparing two budget-friendly pistols because I am a firm believer in the Second Amendment and in everyone's right to be able to protect themselves and their loved ones, but not everyone can afford a $1,400 pistol, or like this, I've got over $1,000 in this M&P. A lot of people, have like a $500, budget, maybe a $400 budget, maybe less than that. But there are good options for you, so you don't need to go buy a high point, I promise. I've found a couple of really good options that are within that $300 and basically under range that will be extremely reliable and very shootable and actual real decent pistols. So please don't go buy a high point. Before we get started, I'd like to thank everyone that's subscribed to the channel, everyone that likes these videos, that shares them, and everyone that comments. I try to interact with every one of you, and I really appreciate it. Coming in at 3.2-inch barrel length and a 12-round capacity, the Taurus, very easy to conceal, but still pretty dang shootable. Ring and steel. So the two guns that we're going to be comparing today are my personal carry pistol. This is the Taurus G2C. Comes in these days, I think, at about 249 bucks. You can find it in most places. It's a subcompact 3.2-inch barrel, 12-round capacity, striker-fired polymer frame pistol. And it's done really well for me. And the other one is this. This is the Ruger Security 9. Now, the one that I have, the example here, is the Ruger Security 9 Pro, which is actually closer to $500, mainly because it comes with steel night sights with tritium in them and 3 magazines rather than 2. But for comparison's sake, we're going to treat it as if it is the standard Security 9, which is closer to a $300 price point and very comparable in price to the Taurus here. So before we dive up close, I want to talk about a couple things, because to me, the most important thing when it comes to a firearm is reliability. And these pistols have both been fairly reliable for me. Now, neither of them has been as reliable as my M&P has, just being honest. I've had a couple of failures with the Ruger and a couple of failures with the Taurus. Both of them, the Taurus, just a couple of stovepipes, easy and quick to clear, not a big deal. The Ruger, when I first got it and I ran steel-cased ammunition for it, I actually had 2 rounds, 2 separate times, both in the same day, get stuck inside it where I couldn't even rack the slide back and get the round out. And so that was, at the time, a major issue to me because this was the first pistol I ever bought. And I didn't quite know what I know now. Just let's put it that way. But just want to be honest with you guys before we start. Both of these have given me, I think, 2, maybe 3 failures in this one, 2 in this one. In the total lifetime that I've owned both these guns, I've had this one longer than any of my other firearms at all. And I've had this one for about a year. It's been my carry pistol. Both of them, other than those couple of failures, have been perfectly reliable. And, you know, I film a lot of my range footage to put on this channel. And I'm honest about it. If I do have any kind of malfunction, I show it on the video. And so you guys might have seen those on the videos that I've made about each of these. I do have a full review on each of these pistols, and I'll put links to them down below. But I gotta say, for the price point that they come in at, these are fairly reliable guns. And if you've got around $300 to spend, you'd do much better getting either one of these than something like a High Point. Trust me. So both these pistols, they're two different sizes, obviously. The Taurus is a subcompact. It's got a 3.2-inch barrel and a 12-round capacity, 9mm, polymer-framed, striker-fired pistol. The Ruger here is more of like a Glock 19 size. It's got a 4-inch barrel, 15-round capacity, and this one is not a polymer-framed striker-fired pistol as much as it might look like it. This is actually glass-filled nylon frame, and it is hammer-fired. So if you see there, that hammer is cocked, and if I pull the trigger, the hammer kind of disappears there. And that makes for an interesting trigger pull on this. So let's first talk about these triggers, because if there's one thing about the Taurus that I'm not super happy about, it's the trigger. This has an extremely long trigger pull, but a very short break. It's fairly crisp. The reset isn't bad. It's very audible and tactile. There's your break again. And one thing about the Taurus is it does have second strike capability. So if you had a round with a hard primer or something, you can just pull the trigger again, and it works as a double action where it'll actually cock the striker and drop your firing pin again. Now the Ruger's trigger is also an interesting trigger. So it's hammer fired, not striker fired. So it's got very little take up, and it's actually really smooth, which is interesting, but it's got a very, very defined heavy wall that's a little bit squishy. You push through it, and the reset isn't nearly as defined as it is on the Taurus, but it's a very clean feeling trigger on the Ruger, which is interesting for a gun of this, you know, price point. One thing also about the Ruger here, because it's hammer fired, it's very, very easy and very smooth to rack that slide because it's not loading up a striker. It does cock the hammer back. And one thing to know about it, like for dry fire training, is, you know, with the striker fired pistol, you can just cock it a little bit and that resets your striker. Well, with the Security 9, you have to pull the slide all the way back to cock that hammer. So just something to be aware of. Now again, when it comes to size, let's compare those real quick. So you can see here, the Security 9 with the extendo on the mag there comes down to about the same length as the Ruger. But if you are concealed carrying it, this is the part that's going to stick out. And it ends up being a lot smaller. Now you do lose 3 rounds of capacity with this one compared to the Ruger. 12 rounds, 15 rounds. They both have the same grip angle, which is the grip angle that I like. Honestly, they both feel really good in the hand. The Taurus has a much, much more aggressive grip texture to it though. Easier to hold on to than this one, which is a good thing because the Taurus, being smaller, is going to be a snappier gun no matter what. Now when we look at the sights, the Taurus, the sights leave a little bit to be desired. They are adjustable, but they're plastic, and they're not fantastic. The Ruger, on the other hand, see, unfortunately, this is the Pro model, which actually has really decent sights on it that are tritium night sights. But the standard model that we are using for comparison actually has like your Glock style sights with the U-notch in them. and they're polymer as well. So really the sights are fairly comparable between the two if you're going for the base model, the Security 9. Now, on my striker fired guns, I generally don't like to have a manual safety. But the Taurus comes with one, and generally I just keep it off. But it's a decent safety. It's very easy to actuate and very solid. Now, the Ruger Security 9 Pro that I have does not have a manual safety, which I like. But the base model that we're using for comparison does, and from what I've been told, it's pretty terrible. Now, the Security 9, being at this price point, one thing that's nice is that it's got these forward cocking serrations. That's a really nice thing to have on a budget pistol. The Taurus here doesn't, but the shape of the slide works just fine for press checks or running the front of the slide. Now, both of these pistols do have accessory rails. The Ruger has an actual 1913 Picatinny rail, and it has worked just fine with all of my lights, lasers, anything I've wanted to attach to it, although it's not quite mil-spec. It's not quite as deep as a real 1913 Picatinny rail. But like I said, it's worked just fine for me. The Taurus has basically your Glock rail, where it has one slot here. And being the size that it is, I haven't found a light yet that fits on this in a way that works for me. Now, I'm also fine with that. This is my concealed carry pistol. I have other things I use for home defense that I keep lights on, and this isn't that. So really, it doesn't bother me a whole lot. But if you're going to just get one pistol that you need to stretch into both concealed carry and home defense type roles, just keep that in mind that you're going to have to get a smaller light to be able to attach to the rail on the Taurus. Now, when it comes to field stripping, breaking down these guns to clean them, so to break down the Taurus is just like a Glock. You pull down these tabs here, pull your trigger, and the slide comes right off. I had a little trouble there with my thumb, so I had to do it off camera. And then you see you've got your dual captured recoil spring, your barrel. Standard really looks like any other striker-fired polymer frame pistol. In fact, it's really designed almost exactly like a Glock in a lot of ways. Now the Ruger is a little different. Drop your magazine. You actually need a tool to pull this out. So you have a pin here that you have to get to. This pin, I like to use a little screwdriver. Once you pull the pin out, you don't even need to pull your trigger. It comes right off. Recoil spring, barrel. Now you're going to notice that this slide looks a little bit different because this thing is hammer fired. There you see your hammer. This is where the slide cocks your hammer back. It looks very different inside. It doesn't have your trigger bar, any of the standard stuff that you see on a striker fired gun. So just something to note. You do need a tool in order to take down the Ruger. But it's a very, very simple gun, which is nice. Put it back together. You just stick that back in, and the gun's good to go again. And you go to put the Taurus back together, literally just like a Glock or any other striker-fired gun. Good to go. So one thing about each of these pistols is both of them do run hollow points just fine. The Taurus is my carry pistol. I run hollow points in it regularly just to make sure that it's going to be reliable with my carry ammo. And the Ruger here is basically my backup nightstand gun. You know, when my slide was missing on the M&P, this was my home defense pistol. And again, it runs hollow points just fine. I've also put lots of rounds through both these guns. They've both been extremely reliable for the most part, except those couple malfunctions that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. As far as ergonomics go, I do like the Ruger a little bit better, mainly just because it's a bigger gun. 4-inch barrel, 15 round capacity. My hand fits on it a little better. It's kind of a narrow grip, and the grip texture is not super aggressive, but I can shoot this gun fairly well. The Taurus, not quite as easy to shoot well. It's definitely not bad. It's got a barrel that's, 8/10 of an inch shorter than that one and 3 rounds less capacity. Luckily though, the way the magazines are designed, you can get your pinky on there. So that's not a bad thing. The grip texture on it is very aggressive, which is nice. And it's a fairly easy gun to run. It's just got a long trigger pull and the sights are not fantastic. So the Ruger is going to be bigger than the Taurus with a 4-inch barrel and a 15-round capacity. A little bit more difficult to conceal, but really not bad. And much more easy to shoot. I actually love this pistol. When it comes to concealability, the Taurus is my everyday carry. Now, in the wintertime and before I got the Taurus, this Ruger was my EDC and it works just fine. It's the same size as a Glock 19. And in fact, from what I have heard and read, it'll actually fit just fine in Glock 19 holsters, which are everywhere. So that's a nice thing about it. I can conceal the Ruger just fine, but the little bit of extra grip that you have there definitely does make a difference. You have to pay a little closer attention to make sure that you're not printing. It's a little bit longer and it's a little bit heavier. So like this time of year, we're getting into shorts and t-shirts weather. I would say the Taurus is definitely going to be an easier gun to conceal than the Ruger. But while the Taurus may be easier to conceal, the Ruger is definitely easier to shoot well. Both of these have been fairly accurate for me, but I'm just a little bit more confident shooting this one than this one. Now mind you, I have had it longer, and being the Security 9 Pro, it does have better sights than the Taurus does. See if you can see those. And those are the Taurus sights. The Taurus sights kind of suck. 12 rounds is not bad for a subcompact. So I love a pistol like this. Custom M&P. Red dot, light, extremely good stippling on the grip, and just a really, really good shooter. Really reliable, really accurate. I love a pistol like this $1,400 1911. This feels about as good to shoot as anything you could possibly imagine. I've shot a $3,000 Wilson Combat. Okay, Wilson Combat's pretty amazing. But you get my point. These pistols are not that, but you know what? If you have $300, both of these are going to be a great option for you. Now, if you can only get one pistol, I would probably recommend the Ruger. It's going to fit into more roles probably than this will. It's a little bit more shootable, has a higher capacity. You can mount a light to it a little bit easier, and you can still conceal it. But I gotta admit, this Taurus, I actually use it more, being that it is my concealed carry pistol. I make sure I practice with it all the time. That way I know that I am decent enough, at least, with my carry pistol. And I've got no problem with either one. These are both pretty dang good guns for the money. I do want to make a quick update in case you do follow this channel. I made a video about how the United States Postal Service lost this slide when I sent it off to get milled and Cerakoted for the red dot. Well, after a few months of fighting with them, the local postmaster here helped me out, and they finally got me paid back for the insurance that I paid for on the package. So I've got no ill will toward the post office. They did me right in the end, and I really do appreciate that. So please let me know in the comments if you guys run the Ruger Security 9, if you carry a Taurus G2C or a G3C, or any number of affordable Tauruses, and what you think about them. I've actually been pretty happy with both of them, honestly. You know, I've got some more expensive guns, obviously, but for the price, those guns have been great for me. And took them both out today. I forgot how much I enjoyed shooting this Ruger. It's actually really a pretty dang nice pistol. Please like this if you liked this video. Please share it with your friends if you have friends that enjoy this kind of stuff. And please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to build this channel up and working really hard at it. Putting out a couple videos a week now, every week. And I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I do have a link for the Patreon down below. That's going to be the best way to support the channel. There's also a link for an Amazon affiliate account where you can find, you know, the holsters that I got for each of these. You can find lots of things on there, but I'll put a link to that as well as links to the full reviews for both the Taurus and the Ruger. Anyway, from Sawtooth Tactical, please remember to stay strapped or get clapped.